Hello, fellow Fazbear employees. Let's say you're making your own Five Nights at Freddy's cosplay, and you have no idea how to make the bow tie. Well, that's why I'm here. I'm going to be showing you how I made my Spring Bonnie bow tie. And this would work for all sorts of different animatronics. If you're doing a Bonnie, a Freddy, a Mangle, I don't know, but whatever type of bow tie you need, this should pretty much cover it. So, let's go ahead and jump into it, and I'll show you how it's done.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do if you're making a bow tie is find yourself a nice fabric. It doesn't really matter what kind you use. I chose a more silky fabric. So I'm going to get in here, and for demonstration purposes, I'm going to be using black silk. If I can manage to rummage it out. There it is. Alright, I'm going to be using some black silk. You can obviously use whatever color you want, but I want to make a black bow tie, so that's what I'll be doing. It's really not a bad idea to iron out your fabric before you use it. You don't have to do it, but for the sake of Pete, I will be doing it in this video. Alright, I'm just going to clear all this junk out of the way real quick, and by the way, on Halloween night, my tail fell off. So I'm going to have to put that back on, but I can do that in a minute. All right. And voila, magic. Alrighty, time to make sure this thing's nice and toasty so I can iron this fabric out. Yep, it's definitely hot enough. Okay, so maybe your iron isn't as hot as you want it to be. That's okay. Just go ahead and cut out the fabric you're going to need for your bow tie, and then you won't have to do as much ironing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out as much as I need. I'm going to be using my other bow tie as reference. Whatever measurement you're going to use, make sure you add a little bit on each side of it, because you're going to want some wiggle room for the seams and stitching you put on there, because if you cut it, you know, just the exact same size, when you sew it, it's going to shrink a little. So make sure you leave that extra wiggle room. It's better to go a little bit over than to be exact, and you definitely don't want to go under. But I'm going to go ahead and cut out the fabric, and I'll kind of show you what I do there. Alrighty, so what you're going to want to do is, take your bow tie, or your reference measurement, right? And like I said, add a little bit. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to cut it with all that extra on the sides to allow for the seam. And let's say you want your bow tie to be a certain height, right? So you do that, and then what you can do is you can just fold it, like double it, because you're going to want it to be double-sided. So you just flip it like so, and then you keep cutting until you get to the edge of it here. And of course, it doesn't hurt to go a little extra. If you don't want to waste fabric, don't go too far. But just a little bit is not going to make that big of a difference. And snippy, snippy, snip. Like so. And then, there you go. So you want to toss that away. And now you have a nice little piece of fabric here that you can use for your bow tie. Because if you look at this one here, you can see the top of it, there's no seam because of the way it's folded. Oh, and then you see the edges and stuff like that, so yeah. And then now you would want to iron it. So we're going to see if this is hot. Yeah, that feels pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and iron this out. Oh, and real quickly, when you're ironing, do make sure that you have a towel underneath. I don't know why, but my mama told me that it's a good thing to have, and my mama is typically right about these kinds of things. So, yeah, just do what your mom says, man, or do what my mom says. Do what I say. Do what I tell you to do, because my mama told me to do it. Holy crap! Okay, so I don't know why that happened. That's weird. So anyways, I'm going to turn this off, because I could have gotten horribly injured. That was weird. Always make sure you know what you're doing before you do it. I left that stupid thing on Steam and almost exploded scalding hot water all over me. Ladies and gentlemen, be careful. Ow. Alright. So now you're going to want to fold it with the part you want outside on the inside, because you're going to want to turn it out after you sew it, if this would stay on the table. So you make sure you're nice and lined up on this side, and if you want, it probably wouldn't hurt to actually iron over this, so I'm going to do that real quick. Alrighty, so I got that taken care of. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put some pins around the edge of it. And it's good to have the pins facing away from you so they're easier to pull out. So I'm going to go ahead and get that taken care of. So I definitely had a little extra room, but I'm just going to keep plugging away at it. Now, since I'm doing straight lines, it's going to be a lot more easier, so I don't really need that many pins. It's useful. I don't actually think I used any pins on this one, but I'm using them on this one, I guess. Alrighty, it's time to sew it. And when you do, make sure you leave a tiny little bit that's not stitched shut. So if you look on my bow tie here, not the top where it's all connected, but at the bottom where the seam is, leave one of the corners. Leave there to be a slight hole so you can turn it inside out. And there's another useful little thing that comes with that. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this thing up. I would hope that most people's sewing machines do not suck as much butt as ours does. Just a real quick check, make sure everything's looking okay for the most part, kind of the right size, and it looks half decent. My stitches are a little crooked, but I mean, it's a bow tie, it'll be curved in the end anyway, so it should be okay. And if not, now don't forget what I said, you're going to want to leave a slight little corner down here to be able to work with. So I'm just going to leave that at that. And then one more stitch should do the trick. Alrighty. And that does the trick. Alright, so now I'm going to trim the edges up a little. Alright. Now that I have it all trimmed the way I want, I'm going to find the hole, which is right here. And using that hole, I am going to turn the whole thing inside out. I made the mistake of making it just a little bit too tiny, so I am going to snip just a few threads. Really hope that doesn't cause it to all come undone. I don't think it will, but, you know, you make mistakes, you press on. So, I guess it's good I'm making a mistake then, because I can show you what to do if you happen to make the same mistake. But just, don't make mistakes, I guess. Try to be perfect. I'm kidding, nobody's perfect. Nobody will ever be perfect. Alrighty, so that very well could make the whole thing come undone, but we're just going to pretend it won't. So now I'm going to grab the fabric and pull it through. Okay. So once you get that done, just make sure you get all the edges pulled out the way you want them to be. And then you will be left with a nice big black square, rectangle, whatever. Kind of like so, and if we compare it to our purple bow tie, it turned out pretty dang alright. So, got this little hole in the corner here, right? And slip that back in like that. Now, if you want to go the extra mile, you can go ahead and actually iron out these edges, which I did unplug my iron, so I'm going to have to plug that back in, and then I'll be able to smoothen these all out, and then I'll show you where to go from there. Okay, so I am officially afraid to use the iron because it keeps making scary noises, and I don't know what to do with it. But I got the edges of this flattened out a little bit. So now, it needs to look like this. You see this plush right here? Well, there's another good reason that there's a hole here. I actually used a piece of rectangular foam to do that, so I took this from my scraps here, and I will be able to repurpose this. Alrighty, so I real quickly just trimmed out a piece that's similar in width to that one, and close to the same length as this. So I'm going ahead and I'm going to squish it and shove it in the hole there, and then wiggle it into place, so it'll give the same look as this one. Be mature. Hopefully I can do this. Alrighty. We got that in there. Now we're just going to have to wiggle it into place. You know, make it a little more centered. And there we go. Now, you're probably wondering, wait, how do you get it to stay in the middle? I don't know. Just kind of stays there. I don't know the long-term effects of this. It might not be able to stay like that. I don't know. But, yeah, now we have this. And, this little, hole right here that you have, what I did was I just put the tiniest little bit of hot glue in there. And then I, folded it in on itself. Hot glue is, messy. So, be careful. Maybe use something different. If you know, like, some sort of little stitching technique that allow you to sew that up, go ahead. But, I mean, I used hot glue on mine. It turned out okay. I'm pretty sure I did on this corner, but I'm not actually sure. So I'm going to very carefully do that. Okay. Got some white thread showing through. Not thrilled about that. Don't actually think... Oh, there's too much I can do there. I'm going to try anyway. Alright, that was okay. So, now you got this. So, the last step, well, one of the last steps is to find yourself make yourself, I should say, a black strip out of the same material, or a different one if you want, don't know why you would, and squish it like this, and then it should look like this. Alright, so I cut out a piece of black fabric here. If you look at this one, you can't really see any cut lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold, I'm going to fold the edges of this to make it much nicer, straighter, and smoother. And I'm going to glue them down like this. And that should do the trick. Did the trick last time. Quite confident it'll do the trick again. I'm just going to cut this because I did a bad job cutting this out, but once I get it folded, it should kind of fix itself. Just had a mild panic attack. I thought it was gluing the wrong side. Oh, dang it, I got a little bit on that. Yeah, definitely make sure you don't have the wrong side of your fabric out. That would suck. Now, the one thing I will say is this actually has a pretty solid center, because I was originally going to try to make it magnetic, but that didn't work. So if you want, put a little something solid in there to prevent it from squishing too far. Couldn't do that on this one because I didn't leave the hole large enough, but if that's something you want to do, go ahead. So now what we're going to do, now that the strip is done, is we're going to fold this up however you see fit for the wrinkles. I'm going to try to copy what I did on my last one, so I'm going to leave it right here for reference. We're going to fold it down like so, scrunch it up a little, and then we take this and then we wrap it around, making sure it's nice and tight. Get that hot glue out of there. Nice and tight, but not too tight, like I said, because we don't want it to be too squished. And then if you wrap it like that, if you just glue the back, you'll be able to adjust the front until you get the shape you're looking for. And it should look a little something like this. See see how the two of them are very close to being the same? That's what we're looking for. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little better. Alrighty. And just like that, the bow tie is finished. Here's a nice little comparison. Here, I'll make sure that's better. Alright, so here's the black bow tie next to the purple bow tie. So, I think they both turned out pretty good. The black one, its tie in the center is actually quite a bit bigger than the purple one. Personally, I think the purple one looks a little better, but it's all a matter of, like I said, personal preference. Now, you could be done with it as is, But for my purposes, I'm going to be putting a little Velcro on the back, so I can actually swap out colors as I so do please. Alrighty, I just got a little bit of Velcro glued onto the back. Did manage to shorten that up a little, make it a little thinner just by folding the edges in. And now I have myself another bow tie. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And now, shaboom! Heck yeah!
Well, congratulations, Superstar. You now have your own bow tie. Yeah. So, hopefully this tutorial helped you out. Always make sure to be safe when you're using sharp objects, hot objects, stuff like that. You don't want to burn or stab yourself, because nobody wants a trip to the emergency room. So, anyways, make sure you like and subscribe. I hope this video helped you out, and have a Faztastic day. See ya.